Hi guys, it's Neo here. Welcome to the season finale of I'm Listening. We are at episode 3. Whew, huge burden off my shoulders. Honestly, when I first started this series, I was so nervous. I wondered if anybody was gonna write in and be vulnerable with me. 3 weeks later, I'm a much better person because of the connection I've made with these stories. I even got DMs from you guys talking about how much you've resonated with them in each episode. And so if you're new to this, I hope that you watch this finale and be inspired to inspire. This week's theme is on family. In my personal opinion, having a family or creating a family, the concept is very simple. But when you start to pull the layers apart and connect the dots, like who's who, you'll realize that things are more infinitely complex. And so I wanted to hear your stories and have you define what a family means to you. Is blood really thicker than water? From the time that life was created within us to us creating life, are we fated to certain people or not at all? I've pulled 3 stories together and hopefully we'll be able to navigate this thing called family. Let's go! As always, I've got my trusty iPad, and our very first story is written by Amanda Lai. She goes, "Hey Naomi, I'm not really good with my words, but I just wanted to try my best to define what family means to me and spread a message. I have different interpretations of what family is. Personally, family can be fated or not at all. These are just 3 parts to my family that make it whole. The first being my nuclear family, second being the people that I spend lots of time with outside of home, for example friends, and lastly any other person whom I love, support, and accept. I've had the privilege of being deeply loved by my parents throughout my childhood. They've never stressed me on my studies, assuring me that no matter how badly I do, it doesn't define who I am. They focused on ensuring I had a good attitude and character. Obviously, they also loved me by punishing me when I did something wrong, but looking back, I know now that their actions influenced me to become the person I am today, and I'm sure that it was done in love. However, in my teen years, my parents fell out of love. It affected me greatly, though they did their best to keep me out of it. I lost hope in having a happy and whole family deep inside of me. This brings me to my second family. I have a small but lovely circle of friends that have stuck with me all the way through thick and thin. They've become my family too. I wouldn't be the same without them because they've supported me immensely, whether mentally or emotionally, and gave me lots of joy, love, and comfort. I love them to death. The last part of my family is basically anyone that means the world to me. I couldn't fit them in the first 2, but it doesn't mean that they don't mean just as much. For me, it's any community I feel I belong in and my beloved pets. Community is family because it's a group that brings everyone together based on similarities. Church and hostel blocks are good examples. It gives me a sense of belonging that I can't find anywhere else, and everyone supports each other. I had a pet dog and rabbit growing up, and although they don't interact like a fellow being would, pets have a way of just making you feel so happy, right? Right. I love them with all my heart, and I know that they love me too. Both of them have since passed on, but they are nothing less than family to me. To wrap up, one thing in common is that they all hold a special place in my heart. Families are never perfect, but they are always there for you even when you don't need them. Life begins with family and also ends with it. I hope everyone will be able to find out who and what makes them feel loved, because we definitely deserve a happy life. Thank you for listening. Wow, Amanda, I think you've spoken for a lot of us, and one of the sentences that really resonated with me was, life begins with family and also ends with it. You know, from the time that you're born, your family is often like the first point of contact for you. Feelings of love, feelings of sadness, feelings of how to overcome things, you know, sharing your firsts. It all comes from having a family and having people around you that love you so much, who are willing to celebrate these milestones with you, and it really struck a chord with me because all my memories are like flooding back. I remember this so distinctly. My father tried to teach me how to ride a bike, and my younger brother could do it so well, but for some reason I was so scared, and you could tell that he was so frustrated with me, but he didn't give up on me. So after a few tries and after a very long time, like I overcame my fear and I was able to ride a bike. But these are the firsts that I'm like talking about, is that you can think of these memories fondly and know that they're gonna last you and be with you for like a lifetime. So I also want to say and encourage you that really not all is lost in having a happy and whole family, even though your parents are no longer together. It just means that, you have, both your mom and dad to connect with and build a relationship with, and really ask them, how they built their lives, so that you can also in turn create one for yourself. And that is so special. It's really not the sum of experiences and letting that define you. It's really creating something for yourself and knowing that you have a choice on your own. And so I hope that you that's watching, you'll be inspired by Amanda's story. That's the first. The second is from Julin, and she goes, "Hey Naomi, here's my story about my family. Your dad is so cool. Your mom looks friendly. People often see my family as one that's always positive, fun, and chill. However, how can a family be a family with just all the good and not the bad? Believing in God's purpose for each and every one of us in the world, I'm certain that I am meant to be in this family, even if at times I do feel a little out of place, a little not at home. You see, every family is like a mini society. It's made up of individuals with different personalities, different lifestyles, different beliefs and values. I have a family of 5, and I'm the youngest. As a child, I often felt that this family lacked a sense of warmth that I expected it to have. Receiving gifts often, having daily family meals, watching the television together, traveling together. However, with everyone's different schedules, it was difficult for such events to happen often. I once proclaimed on my Facebook at the age of 13, how I wish my family had the warmth I'm longing for. I got it big time from my parents when they found out about that post from my siblings. I didn't understand back then why my entire family was so against that one post I made. But as I grew older, I came to realize, despite all the shouting, quarrels, squabbles, my family members were the ones that stood up for me when I was bullied, packed meals for me when I was hungry, and they respected my decisions and bring me to my favorite food place during my birthday. Is this not the warmth that family provides? More often than not, I tend to focus on how tiring it is to keep up and deal with 4 different personalities, without thinking that they too have to keep up and deal with me. If it weren't for the squabbles and debates, would I have been able to reflect on my weaknesses and grow out of it? Probably not. I've grown to appreciate all the positive and negative events that occur in this household because good or bad, it happens to us so we can learn, grow, and build this home together. We have our fair share of laughter, tears, screams, hugs, but all of these are derived from our love for one another. Just like a mini society, we support, love, and grow with people around us to the best of our abilities, and even if that doesn't match up to our personal expectations, it's okay because I know that my family is doing the best that they can offer. Wow, this really warms my heart. When I first read this part of your story about I'm certain that I am meant to be in this family, even if at times I do feel a little out of place, a little not at home. And I was like, oh my God, there are so many times growing up, and sometimes people label this as, oh, it's just a teenage phase, you'll be fine. But we've all gone through that bits and bobs of ourselves. We're like, I don't like myself very much. I don't really know what's happening to myself. Like, I kind of need some support now, but I don't really know how to ask for it. And it really reminded me of that. But then you said every family is like a mini society. It's made up of individuals, different personalities, different lifestyles, different beliefs and values. And then it struck me that, oh my gosh, yes, we are all very, very different, and sometimes it gets so complicated and mashed up because we don't know how to articulate our disappointment with each other. Sometimes we don't know how to articulate the best parts of each other and encourage one another. Maybe because we live in a very close-knitted environment, and so sometimes we can't really see the bigger picture. But based on your story, it's just so cool that you've been able to analyze it from like a bigger point of view, and you've got such a big heart. And I've learned so much just by reading this and unpacking everything on my own. And it's true, you know, sometimes you receive the warmth from a family, but sometimes you don't as well. And that's perfectly okay if you're still navigating that, because we still need to get to know one another no matter how long we've been in a household together, right? So thank you to Lynn, thanks for sharing this. Our third and final story is also written by an Amanda, but she goes by the name of Amanda Ong. And she writes, "Hi Naomi, I want to share with you a story of my grandmother, not biological. She was my biological grandfather's sister, which means that she's supposed to be my grandaunt. In the olden days, my actual grandparents didn't have the capability to raise my mom, so they gave her away to the woman I call grandmother. Together with her husband, the man I call grandfather, they raised 2 sons and my mom. Many years later, their eldest son passed away, leaving them with my mom and my uncle. My grandmother fell into depression, and one of the many reasons was due to the passing of her son. Years later, when my mom and my uncle got married and had their own kids, things took a huge turn. My grandfather went behind her back and cheated on her. Ever since she found out, I've never not seen them arguing. There were so many other problems that led to her falling into depression. When I was younger, I used to visit them every weekend and we'd have the time of our lives. Then the laughters turned into cries, and sometimes the fights got physical. I would have to come in between them to beg them to stop. And as a 12-year-old, I was always in fear. I would jump and tremble whenever I heard loud noises because there was always banging of doors and screaming. Even till today, and I'm 21 this year, I still can't watch a fight and am afraid of loud noises. Everything came to an end in 2015. I was about to turn 16 in 6 days. My grandmother committed suicide. She ended her misery and suffering with a jump. I'm still in the progress of healing and forgiving myself because I always felt that I played a part in her suicide. If I'd helped her enough, she won't succumb into suicide. She needed help and I wasn't strong enough to be there for her. I'm still holding this regret deeply in my heart. Despite the downside, she never made us worry and was always so independent. She taught me so many important life lessons and values to uphold as a person. She loved me and my siblings with all of her heart. Her love was so deep, and that only made me feel more guilty for not giving back the same. She's kind, beautiful, a real fighter, and my hero. Nobody could tell she wasn't my biological grandmother, and that really showed how great and generous her love was for us. Now that I'm older and sensible, I'm always reminding myself to always be present for my loved ones. I wouldn't want to regret anything anymore. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it will serve as a reminder to people that time really waits for no one. Anything can happen at any time. Please cherish your loved ones and really express your love to them. To those who are struggling, know that your family will always be there for you. Please reach out to them. They care for you. well, that took me for a spin. Sorry, I had to calm down for like a few minutes and then come back to this. You know, Amanda, I wasn't expecting myself to like cry in front of the camera because there's just no excuse, right? I mean, suicide is a very, very painful thing, and I so badly want to share, but I also know I'm not ready for it. But I really commend you for sharing the story because it's very brave, and for some reason I got so emotional just reading your story because it's really a hard thing, and I felt your pain. I think no 16-year-old would have wanted to go through that or would have expected it, and so I commend you for even turning this into something that's so positive, because a lot of us also have the choice to really just think about it and just have it all here, but you know, not necessarily want to move on from it. And so for you to be able to say, you know, I hope it will serve as a reminder to people that time really waits for no one. Anything can happen at any time is something that's really wise beyond your words. And truly, time really waits for no one. You know, one day you're gonna blink and you realize like, oh my god, where did all the time go? And experiences in this case really teach us how to live better lives and to be 100% when it comes to things. You know, if somebody really wants your help and it's somebody that you love, you are like 200% committed to this. And really, this is what I'm Listening is about. It's to share your stories and to connect and to feel and to be okay with it, to know that everyone's struggles, everyone's experiences are different. This is a story that's really courageous and really true to yourself. And if you're watching this, I hope that it resonated with you and connected with you as well. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Amanda, for sharing this and for being so honest with your feelings and for being so forthcoming and sharing your story with me and allowing me to read it out in a public setting. I truly commend you for that. And it's why I do what I do. And those were your 3 stories for this week's I'm Listening episode 3. The theme was on family. Honestly, my behavior kind of threw me off guard a little bit, but after receiving some encouragement from the videographer behind the lens, I've come to realize that I don't have to be perfect when talking to you and being in front of the camera all the time. Like, I know it's a work hazard, and thanks for the response. I know it's a work hazard for me, having to be perfect and presentable, basically. But wow, man, these stories have really also in turn taught me a lot about being vulnerable to you. You've been vulnerable to me, but now it's almost like my turn to do the same as well. And so thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all the stories that have been submitted and have come through my way over the course of 3 weeks. It's been an amazing journey, and I hope to create a season 2, perhaps. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But don't miss me too much, okay? I know I will miss you so much. But have fun. And I hope that I'm Listening has really touched you and connected with you in many, many ways, and that you'll have takeaways from this and you'll reflect on it and inspire other people to do the same, be vulnerable, and to connect with you. And so with that, my name is Naomi. I want to say congratulations to Amanda Ong, Amanda Lai, as well as Jewelin for going home with meals from Poke Theory. You're going to go home with 4 Pokeballs as well as 2 snack packs. Amazing stuff. And that's a wrap on I'm Listening Season 1.
How do you feel about them today?
Today's one was very, I mean, all the episodes have been very personal to me. Like when I read the stories and like I read these strangers who have been so willing to contribute to the series. But man, this week's one was a little more than that, because it took me a little off guard, and in a good way, but it also made me more human. I think the real takeaway is the word perfect for me. Like, I don't have to be perfect all the time. Like, I don't have to be presentable all the time. Like, I am allowed to show my feelings when reading the stories. Like, I don't have to like be brave all the time. Like, if it gets me, it gets me. I know all these things by heart. Like, I apply them into my life, but for some reason, even when you're adulting, no matter how old you are, like 40, 50, 60, 70, blah blah blah, like, you just have to go back to the basics, you know?